Mariners lose 4-3. They fall to 65-65 on the season, and they are also even with the Giants in the 3-game series at a game apiece. Go over the scoring plays. Giants get on the board first with a Max Chapman sacrifice fly on a terrific catch by Randy Arozarena, but it does score a run. 1-0 in the first. Second inning, Tyler Fitzgerald singles home Estrada. 2-0 at the end of 2. Nope, the middle of 2, because the Mariners get 2 in the bottom of the second. Way too many 2s. Luke Raley walks with the bases loaded, as does Julio, back-to-back, ties the game at, you guessed it, 2-2. Giants get another in the 5th on an Estrada single to score Mike Yastrzemski, and in the 7th, Yastrzemski homers to right. It's 4-2 in the middle of the 7th. Mariners get 1 in the bottom of the 7th on a Randy Arozarena fielder's choice, originally called a double play but overturned. 4-3. Mariners don't get anything else. An all too familiar loss. But let's start with the positives. Positive number 1. Thank you so much, Baltimore Orioles. Beating the Astros, so the Mariners don't lose any ground. They remain 4.5 games back. Don't gain any ground. We don't lose any ground. Positives on the pitching side, I thought JT Chargois pitched well. Inning in a third of scoreless baseball. Does issue the walk. Didn't have the best command, but nice to see him look good after he looked pretty shaky in the Los Angeles series. Trent Thornton, inning of scoreless baseball, gives up a couple of base runners. Still don't trust him as far as I can throw him, but I'll count it. I'll take it. And Taylor Sassetto, that was, even without a strikeout, the best I've seen him pitch in a little bit. Boy, it would be great to have 2 quality lefties in this bullpen right now. And if Sassetto pitches like he did today, and if Spire pitches like he did yesterday, they've got a chance to have 2 quality lefties. They need it. They very much need it. Offensively positives. You know, we'll talk about Julio in the negative section as well, but I thought he played a really strong baseball game. He draws the 2 walks. He's drawn 4 walks over the last 2 games. He drives the ball into that opposite field gap for the double. Unfortunately, they get some bad luck with that ball bouncing over the fence because I'm almost 100% sure Luke Raley scores, and Julio might get to third on that play. And there is no, well, we'll talk about it. And we'll talk about the negative there too, but it's great to see Julio drive the baseball. You know, one of those balls that he hit to center field on a normal summer day in Seattle. I think that gets out for sure. It's just not normal right now. It's so damp. It's so dang damp. And the Giants were victim of it too. But, you know, I do think I've been encouraged by what I've seen from Julio Rodriguez. I think a lot of people just don't want to hear that because they want to see Julio Rodriguez hitting 300, 400, 500. 300 average, 400 on base, 500 slugging. And that's fine. It's what he's capable of doing. But he's 23. I have nothing but confidence in Julio Rodriguez going forward, even though I will say something negative about him in about a minute and a half. Any other positives? They drew 9 walks. Now, a lot of those walks, I struggle a little bit with. Maybe we should talk about that in the negative section. Yeah, let's do that. But before we get negative, let's do another positive. Simply Seattle, love you. You're the very best. You provide the very best in Seattle sports gear. Great stuff for the Mariners, of course, but also the Kraken, also the Seahawks, also the Supersonics, also the Storm, also the Sounders, also the Huskies, also the Cougars, Gonzaga. You can find it all. Tacoma Rainiers. You can find it all at simplyseattle.com. And once you find all your goodies, use code MOLLYWOP15, MOLLYWOP15. It takes 15% off your order. There's a link in the description to make it nice and easy for you. Thank you so very much to Simply Seattle for their support. I would really appreciate you guys supporting them since they're supporting me. Okay, the negatives. Number 1, this was not a fun game to watch. I'm sorry. Walks are an important part of baseball, right? An important, if you walk a lot, you usually score a lot of runs. And they drew 9 walks today. However, they're not fun to watch. And look, I talked about it last night with Blake Snell. He's been fantastic as of late. Since July, the best pitcher in baseball. It's really not that close. He has been on an unreal run. the type of run that's made him a 2-time Cy Young winner. He is also not necessarily the most. It's not a great time watching Blake Snell pitch sometimes. And today was a good example of it because look, and I said look too much. I already get it. I get it. Maybe I don't. I don't know how much credit I can give the Mariners for some of those walks. He was way off. So, some credit for not swinging at horrific pitches. But he made it pretty easy for them. He made it pretty darn easy. Those pitches to Rayleigh and Julio weren't close and were easy to lay off. It was not a fun game to watch. It got close. I mean, it was real close. But that doesn't mean it was fun to watch. Nope. Victor Robles leaves with injury. It didn't look good. I think that they did say that there was a negative X-ray already, which is great, but that doesn't mean he'll be like back in the lineup the next day. Just means there's no breaking. They'll probably have to wait for swelling and pain tolerance before he can play again. And he's an important part of what they're doing right now. Even with Julio back in center, I think they'd like to have Victor Robles. In fact, they had Victor Robles in the lineup today. He certainly is the guy they want playing against lefties. Nice job by Luke Rayleigh, though, after entering the game. So, George Kirby. That was not good. And I happened to watch the Root Sports stuff, and I try not to watch the Root Sports stuff, to be honest with you, especially now. It's such state programming that I just can't do it anymore. But I wanted to hear what Dan Wilson had to say, and, he gave the usual cliches as all managers do. I'm not going to hold it too far against him. I hope he gets more interesting as things get going, but, he did sort of imply that George Kirby was unlucky today. I would strongly disagree with that. There was some hard contact, and even the pitches, that get blooped, it's not because he made a great pitch and they just happened to make contact with it. He was way too much in the middle of the plate. It was a very poor outing. An outing where he deserved 4 2/3 innings of 3-run baseball. Did he deserve to give up 9 hits? I don't know. Doesn't matter. That's not the stat that matters. The stat that matters is how many innings you worked and how many runs you gave up, and the latter more important than the former. It was not good. It's disappointing that both Castillo and Kirby in just such a massive series both didn't do well. And that doesn't mean that they're bad pitchers, and it doesn't mean that they won't pitch well down the stretch. But we could just react to what they did over this series, acknowledge that they've been great for the majority of the year, but also say that's not good enough. You got to be better. And I think they know that too. They obviously do. And they're not watching this show, so it doesn't matter. Austin Voth, that home run he gave up was massive. It's a 1-run game. And you give up that homer, and it changes how everything goes. And you end up losing by that 1 run. And it was a bad pitch. Bummer. Austin Voth, for the most part, has been good this year. Can't give up homers. The lineup today, even with the 9 walks, was still pretty bad. I'm trying to not talk about the Randy thing right now just because it's making me angry. Think about it. But is there anyone else individually? No, Mitch Haniger. I was kind of hoping Haniger would be like, let's have our revenge tour, baby, against the Giants. Not so much. Okay, so which one do I want to start with? Let's start with the Julio. Because look, he had a good game. That at bat to end things really irked me. You got to swing the bat. I get you got fooled. You got to at least offer at that, try and foul the thing off and live to fight another day. You got to swing the bat, man. I like walks. I mean, I just told you I don't really like them, but I can respect walks. And I get that he's worked really hard over these last few weeks to make pitchers throw him strikes, but they did, and he didn't swing the bat. In that situation, your best player needs to swing the gosh damn bat. Apologies for the swear. Shout out Pioneer Elementary School. Starting back up pretty soon. Randy. So look, Randy made some saying look way too much. You don't care. Randy made some good contact today, and it was awesome to see him drive that double into the gap to finally break that schneid. And, had some lineouts that were caught today. But, seventh inning. Let me pull up exactly what happens. All right, so the seventh doesn't start out great. Facing Jordan Hicks, and Leo Rivas strikes out. 1 out. You're down 4-2. But Luke Raley draws a walk, a 4-pitch walk. And then Julio comes up and takes 1 strike and then scorches a ground rule double. And again, I do think that run would have scored if it doesn't. In fact, I know Luke Raley would have scored, and there's a real chance Julio gets to third if that ball does not go over the wall. But it does. But still, got runners second and third, 1 out, and then Justin Turner comes to the plate. And look, Justin Turner has been, at best, a mixed bag. He falls down 0-2, but he works his way back, and he ends up drawing a full count. Why are words hard? He ends up drawing a walk. He's got bases loaded. He just walked somebody. He had already walked Luke Raley. Jordan Hicks has had command problems for a long time. Elite stuff. It's weird not seeing him throw 105 miles an hour anymore, but really good stuff. Close to elite. I said elite, and I'll stick with it. He just walked you. He'd thrown 4 of 5 pitches for balls, and he clearly didn't have his command. And Randy Arozarena comes up. He takes the first pitch for a ball. And he takes the second pitch for a ball. And he takes the third pitch for a ball. It's 3-0. You're down by 2 runs. And on a 3-0 count, somebody gives Randy Arozarena the green light. And he grounds into a fielder's choice, and it looked like it might have been a double play. I thought he was safe pretty immediately, but, it was close, and you never know what's going to happen because these umpires just stink. And the conclusive stuff, you never know what's going to happen. But he is ruled safe, but it's an out. Can't happen. It can't happen. You cannot swing the bat there. And if you do swing the bat there, you had better get a gosh dang hit. I don't care about a productive out even a little bit, especially down by 2. It can't happen. And I don't know if that's Wilson giving him the green light, Randy swinging on his own, whatever. Ultimately, it's on Randy Arozarena because that's just not okay. I'm not expecting anyone to be perfect. I'm expecting you to understand situations. And I'm not even saying Randy Arozarena just to get that out of the way. I'm not saying Randy Arozarena didn't understand the situation, but he screwed up in that situation. Big time. Not good enough. Basically cost you the game. And, I don't know what happens. Maybe there's Jordan Hicks walks him. Maybe Jordan Hicks strikes him out, and they don't get any runs. But I know on a 3-0 pitch, when you're down by 2 runs with the bases loaded and the pitcher not throwing strikes, you can't swing there. You can't swing there. And of course, they intentionally walk Jorge Polanco after Arozarena steals second base. And Mitch Haniger just grounds out to third. They had so many golden opportunities. And even the inning where they score 2, right? The inning where they get the 2 runs with the bases loaded. Hey, that's great. He should have done more. You should have done more. This is a frustrating loss. It's frustrating too, in part because this game was just unpleasant. It wasn't a well played baseball game. You know, Randy does make the great catch. That's pretty much it in terms of like highlights that I want to remember. And Julio, the ground rule double. I'll forget a ground rule double pretty quick. All due respect to Julio. This was just not a fun game to watch. Even if the Mariners would have won, I probably would have started with the negatives. Boy, this wasn't a great game, was it? At least they won, but wasn't a very fun one to watch. Tough. Tough. And these type of losses, as much as you can say a loss in April and a loss in May mean just as much, and technically they do. You can't deny that these stick out more because of the situation they've put themselves in and because of the fact that there is so little baseball left to be played. So tomorrow, you still do have a chance to win the series. You've got former Mariner pitcher. I almost made the legend joke, but some of you would take it way too seriously. Former Mariner pitcher Robbie Ray, who had one good year and then 1 year where nothing happened. I think it's fair to say 2022 was a bit of a disappointment just because he was coming off winning a Cy Young. Anyway, against Brian Wu, who has been easily your most effective starter as of late in a game that I am very comfortable saying is must win. You have to win series. Have to. Splits are no longer good enough. One of threes aren't no longer good enough. You got to win series and you got to get some sweeps. You've got to get some sweeps. They still have a 10-game road trip ahead of them right after these 3 home games against the Rays. And look again. 7 of those games are against bad baseball teams. But are the Mariners a good baseball team? I don't know. Kind of lean towards a no. So you can't take anything for granted. And when you get opportunities to win like they did today, and you do not, frustrating. Just a real frustrating season. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. My Hawaii enthusiasts, I promise we'll go live. In fact, I'm going to try to go live twice this week. And I will also have my top 15 prospect video ready to go. I just felt like it was inappropriate to post it with the service news. I don't know why. Just did. But that'll be up next week as well. $4.99 to join. Really appreciate the support. Dang it. Got to win these.